The recent mass murder in Oslo, Norway, shows that law-abiding citizens have to be able to get and use the guns they need to defend themselves and their families. The perpetrator in Oslo, despite the rigidity of Norway's gun control laws, was able to get an automatic weapon, according to police, and use this in the shooting of nearly 100 people in Norway. Reports indicate that it took police an hour and a half to get to the location of the shooting before the shooting stopped. This indicates that if anyone in the area in which the mass shooting took place had been able to acquire a gun and use it to interrupt the shooting, the perpetrator of this horrendous crime could have been put down many killings before he finally was stopped. Other incidents indicate the same thing. Right here in the United States, in Fort Hood, a couple of years ago, a perpetrator killed 13 people and wounded a number of others at an army base before he was finally put down by local police. The reason for this was a Clinton administration era idiotic policy which prevents American service personnel from being armed at military bases in the United States. A few years ago, in 2007, at Virginia Tech University, a mad gunman killed over 30 people, even though the Commonwealth of Virginia has in effect, and even had in effect at that time, a law enabling qualified law-abiding citizens to carry concealed firearms. However, Virginia Tech policy prevented anyone, professors or students, from carrying a firearm on campus, even if they had a permit issued by the state to carry a concealed firearm. These policies preventing law-abiding citizens from being able to carry guns to defend themselves and others is simply idiotic. Just last fall, the web magazine Inspire, which is part of the Al-Qaeda terrorist network, advised lone gunmen in the United States to come into downtown Washington, D.C. during the rush hour, break into a restaurant and start shooting it up in the hopes of causing as many deaths of government personnel during the lunch hour as they possibly could. Washington, D.C. has a law prohibiting anyone who was not an official of the police or the military from carrying a firearm. So people would be totally defenseless in a situation like this. These gun laws, whether they're in Oslo or any place in the United States, or actually any place, work to prevent decent citizens from being able to protect themselves from these horrendous crimes. What we really need is a new look at laws regarding the carrying of firearms in the United States and in other places in the world. Fortunately, we in the United States are moving in the direction of allowing people with state-issued permits to carry a concealed firearm to be able to carry such firearm in other states. As a matter of fact, there is a bill pending in the House of Representatives which has over 250 co-sponsors, which would permit this. We understand that Senator John Thune in the United States Senate is going to introduce a bill similar to this. Hopefully, these bills will pass and get past the yo-yo in the White House. When we look upon the world situation, as is evidenced by the situation in Oslo, we have to be aware of the fact that the knuckleheads at the United Nations are trying to perpetrate an international treaty which would set up an international body which would control the transfer of firearms across borders of state member organizations. The Obama administration has indicated it supports this approach. Hopefully, there will be enough members of the United States Senate to prevent such a treaty from being ratified by the United States should the Obama administration sign it. As far as the world situation is concerned, the United States should realize that the United Nations is filled with a bunch of clucks, and that if and when the United States decides to reassert its sovereignty, it should tell the United Nations to get out of the United States, and it should get the United States clear out of the United Nations.